What's going on, fish heads?
Welcome.
Welcome back to Waterbox Live here on this Wednesday afternoon.
Yes, indeed. We're talking.
New time.
Yeah, new time. Well, sort of. Been for a few weeks now. I feel like we're sticking with it then. I don't know.
Could be.
We don't know.
I feel like I was going to throw a wrench in it today, but I decided not to. So
all right, for now, this is our
12
time.
p.m. for
we
now.
have no idea.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to talk about some great beginner fish for like a reef aquarium. They're like hardy, easy, peaceful. Just picking and choosing correctly to start can help a lot.
Yeah, and we want to encourage you guys to talk about what fish, what beginner fish you've started with.
Yeah.
Engage in the comments, ask questions. We're here to ask you can ask us basically anything, whether it's about waterbox,
freshwater, saltwater,
corals.
doesn't matter.
We got a lot of time, so we can get a lot more questions in these days.
So later we are going to just designate some time to just answering your questions that you guys put into the chat. And then we also have 2 shirts to give away.
Yep.
And part of the currency to win a Waterbox shirt is going to be engaging in the chat, make some friends, talk, ask questions, all that good stuff. So we'll pick those towards the end.
Cool. We do have a winner of the Waterbox Spot
so
the
we've been doing, we just have this promotion one for the last couple weeks, and if you haven't seen it, we have a Waterbox truck that delivers to the southeast, and it's hard to miss. This thing is a big, beautifully wrapped truck that is doing deliveries southeast North Carolina and down roughly. And our promotion was if you see it or getting delivered from it, post a picture, and we're picking someone to win like a nice little swag bag.
I've actually had friends of mine send me pictures of the truck.
Yeah.
I'm like, so
it's one
random.
of a kind. It's very beautiful. You got fresh water on one side, salt water on another.
Yeah.
You can't miss it, but there's been a ton of people getting deliveries with it. It's been a great experience, and we've had a lot of people posting their pictures. So today is the day that we're picking the winner of it to get a nice swag bag.
Cool. So are we ready for that, Keenan?
Can I burn it now?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so the winner for our Waterbox Spot the Waterbox truck giveaway.
Unfortunately, you had to be in the southeast to be able to spot it.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
as a matter of fact, when we first when we announced that we had the truck, the whole rest of the country and parts of the world were like, "We want a truck too."
They're not very happy.
I'm like,
we gotta start somewhere though.
Baby steps.
Gotta start somewhere. We're located in Florida, so it's easier to deliver to this area for that. But it's been a very nice, personalized, higher level of delivery service, which has been well received, and hopefully one day maybe it'll
hopefully we can
even
expand
further.
it. Yeah, hopefully we can expand it out to other parts of the country or other regions that we're in, different countries. But for now,
Southeast.
South.
Manual drum roll?
All right, ready? Here it is.
So I'm going to try to pronounce this, and I apologize if I pronounce it wrong. Sung and Bake. Congratulations, man.
Woo! Congrats. You're going to email winners at waterboxaquariums.com. We'll get you all hooked up with a nice little package of Waterbox goodies. So you can see his delivery here. Beautiful truck, nicely brought right on in.
It's a pretty cool experience, though. When you look at that, you got the guy's getting his new tank with the Waterbox truck. I mean, that's pretty awesome.
So definitely feel free to continue posting the pictures of your delivery. We love to see it, and especially in our Facebook group, Waterbox Aquariums official group. If you're not in it, definitely join. Ton of inspiration, freshwater, saltwater tanks being set up. All different models. So it's a great group to join. Tons of information. It's a super nice group too, which is great.
Especially if you're getting started in the hobby, it's a really great resource. And we just hit 17,000 members.
That's awesome.
So that's pretty cool.
Yep, and there's a ton of new tanks going out right now, so you'll see a lot of different builds. So definitely hop on over and join that group for sure.
Right on, we got Reefing TV that just got his Reef 130.4 in Canada.
Nice.
So congratulations, my friend.
Yeah, that is a very popular, awesome size.
Yeah.
For sure. So, got that going. Remember, drop your questions. We'll grab those later.
Yeah, and if you haven't already, you guys smash that like button. And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit the notification bell, because we are live every week and we are dropping educational videos weekly as well. So
don't want to miss anything we got going on. So we'll talk about some fish.
Let's do it.
All right, so setting up a new reef aquarium. Where do you start with putting in your fish? What should you get first? This kind of like just some of our top choices of fish that are going to be things you're looking for. Is peaceful. Appropriately sized for your aquarium, but also hardy. You want to make sure even if you cycle your tank, you know, it's not always as stable. You want to make sure you have stuff that can kind of handle the beginning stages of an aquarium. So choosing wisely, and then also not getting one that's aggressive, sets up territory, and then starts being aggressive to all those other ones that you add in later.
Yeah.
So, you know, these are some of the best choices, I feel, to add to your reef to kind of get it going and getting started.
So, big thing, like she said in the beginning, planning, research.
Yeah.
Do it ahead of time. Make sure you know what you want to put in there and what's compatible.
It's so hard if you're either online or like in your local fish store and you just see this fish that's just so pretty and you're like, I gotta have this one. You end up buying it, you don't know much about it, you get it in, you realize, it eats coral, or it eats your snails, or it's just something that gets really territorial and aggressive that causes troubles. And it is hard to catch a fish out of a tank once it's up and running.
Very, very
so
difficult.
you don't want to, you don't have to. It's not a fun process.
Yeah, and there's a lot of resources online that you can go find, like the fish's temperament, what size tank, what they're compatible with, what they're not compatible with. There's charts that kind of list the different species and stuff and what they're compatible with. So
absolutely.
Research.
So of course, I want to say clownfish is going to be that top choice. Because everyone knows clownfish. Everyone, I mean, it's probably the reason 75% of people get into having a saltwater aquarium.
Yeah.
They got to have Nemo. They got to have those clownfish. And, you know, things with these is, in general, they are peaceful. You know, they stay pretty small. So they're good for a different mix of sizes of aquariums. But not all. So you've got some that are like maroon clowns, tomatoes, saddlebacks. These guys get bigger and they're nasty.
Be aggressive.
They can be very aggressive. It's like, get bigger. So you go and, you know, maroon clowns are beautiful. You know, saddlebacks are. Go and get them and you're like, oh, I'm going to put this into my, you know, 20, 30 gallon reef tank. And then you realize it owns that tank and it does not do well for all the other fish you add later. So you do want to also pick peaceful and based upon size as well, because they're not all peaceful. Ocellaris and Perculas are generally your best. Stay smaller, more peaceful, but they all do get somewhat territorial.
Yeah,
So,
I used to have a maroon clownfish for many, many years, and it was extremely aggressive.
Oh yeah.
Even towards the other fish in the tank. It didn't even need a clownfish to be in there. It was just mean.
It was mean, and that's the thing is they will occupy a large territory of your aquarium. Whereas, like, if you put, you know, some Perculas or Ocellaris, your standard Nemos, into a 20-gallon tank, they're going to kind of run that too. But in a larger size tank, they're not. So you know, all of them do have territorial and slight aggression, but those other big ones, just be careful because, I mean, they will bite you and draw blood. They don't mess around.
Yeah, and it's also a really great fish too because they're, I don't know how many different variations like ORA for instance has, but you don't need to buy a wild clownfish.
No.
They're so readily available through aquaculture, extremely sustainable. So that makes it a great choice in my opinion.
And endless color patterns and stuff like that. So, you know, definitely it's not like you're gonna have the same clown as everyone else. There's so many options for that. And like you said, pretty much all of them now are aquacultured. It's going to be much harder to actually find a wild one than it is the aquacultured anymore, which is a great thing.
I'd be surprised if, does that even exist still? Do you know?
It does, but not nearly as much.
I mean, I want to say that ORA probably has 100 different variations.
Oh, probably.
At least.
So many, and the patterns are so cool and stuff. So that's kind of like your staple of every aquarium, I feel, ends up having clownfish in it.
Yep.
You know, and they are generally, as long as you pick the right ones, safe to add as some of your first ones, and they're super hardy, so they can handle a little bit of fluctuations or the tank kind of stabilizing. So that is a good go-to. Another one, cardinal fish.
Yeah.
We have them in a lot of our aquariums. We've added them. You know, they stay small. They're really, really, really peaceful. You know, they're not territorial. They're not going to be aggressive towards anybody else, and you can even put them in groups, which is cool.
Yeah.
So if your tank's a little bit larger, you can actually have schools of them. They'll hang out. Like here's Pajama Cardinals is a popular one. And they're kind of funky looking. Their shape's a little unusual.
Big old eyes.
They have these big old eyes. And they, like
These
I said, they kind
ORA?
of,
Were those ORA cardinals?
no, but we have ORA ones in our ORA tank in there. But they are actually kind of, they mostly suspend in the water column. So they're not active like back and forth swimmers. They kind of just suspend in the water. They're pretty much always visible, just chilling, doing their thing. So I think that they're a great choice. Bangais and pajamas are going to be what you most commonly see. You've also got orange lines, blue eyes, stuff like that. So.
And again, another fish that you can readily find aquaculture.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Bangais actually, I think, are endangered out in the wild. So pretty much everything you see is aquaculture for those. Pajamas you can find aquaculture pretty easily as well. So I love their peaceful nature. They don't hide. They're always out and about. You know, and they're just kind of unique looking. So we've got Banggai cardinals here in our frag tank. We've got Pajama cardinals in our ORA tank. So they're a favorite of mine.
I do want to mention, you guys, we are highly encouraging your interaction here with us. Post your questions below. Talk about your fish. Make friends. Like the stream. All those things are currency.
You generally want to know what people are doing for lunch.
Yeah. What are you doing for lunch?
You haven't mentioned that one in a while. You usually always do. So I did it for you.
We're giving away some swag at the end, so all those things are currency for that. We appreciate the interaction. Share the stream too if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Share the fish tank love with all your friends. Kind of in the same group as cardinals as far as super peaceful, they school, kind of hang out, is going to be firefish.
Yeah.
And these guys will be a little bit more shy. I say kind of when you first put them in, they tend to dart into the rocks or kind of hang out in caves until they feel comfortable. They definitely can't go with more aggressive fish. Right. They will just never come out. You know, they're not going to thrive very well if they're with aggressive stuff. So like here's you got like a pink firefish. They come in purple. You got freakies, you know, a couple different varieties. And they can also go in groups.
Yeah, they're really neat too.
They are.
Make sure you have a lid with those guys.
Definitely. They will find a way out. Usually, if they're spooked, they have two options. They run into the rock or they go straight up. And there's the two. And if you get the bat and the stick and they go up and you don't have a lid, it doesn't go well. So have a lid with those guys, especially in the beginning. Once they get established, they tend to be less chance of jumping. Yeah. But it's always a risk.
They get used to their environment a little bit.
Yeah. So you can keep them in group, and they have zero aggressive bone in their body whatsoever. Super, super peaceful. And they can even go in smaller tanks because they're not real active swimmers and they stay pretty small.
Good color too.
Yes, they're very pretty. Check out the purple and how freakies are expensive, but they're really neat looking. So those are good. Gobies are a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So you've got generally two different types of gobies. You've got the ones that kind of like hop around or like sit on the bottom. They can pair with pistol shrimp, so like yellow watchmans, yashias, they'll burrow, have a little tunnel at the bottom, pair them with a pistol shrimp. It's a really cool interaction to have, and they're symbiotic. And then you've got these guys, those the diamond, sleeperhead, those are sand sifters. You do not put them in a tank in the beginning.
Right.
So those are the gobies you want to avoid. They need an established sand bed. They can be a little bit harder to get eating prepared foods or having enough natural microfauna in the sand bed to survive. But these are the guys you can pair with a pistol shrimp. You know, they burrow at the bottom. They kind of just do their thing. But they don't really come out into the water column much. But it's a neat thing to have along the bottom of it, and they're hardy.
Yeah, we've paired up a pistol shrimp and a goby in the past episodes, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably one of our smaller nanos build back in the past. But just avoid the ones that are sand sifters. You want those in larger, 75-gallon or larger established aquariums. So not a good beginner for a reef tank.
Cool. Good to know.
But get a goby and pistol shrimp. You'll love it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite things, for sure.
So again, you guys, if you have questions about anything we're talking about or anything Waterbox related, post it down below. We'll get to those here shortly.
Yeah.
Blennies?
Blennies.
Yes.
These guys are really cute. They have a great personality, and they're gonna mostly hop around your rock. So a lot of them are gonna graze on it and kind of clean up some algae. They will swim some, but a lot of times you're gonna find them kind of sitting on the rock resting. And they just have a lot of personality, kind of always watching around. And for the most part, peaceful. They're going to be a little bit aggressive with their own kind, so generally you don't mix them if they're similar. And a lot of them stay small, so you can even have them in tiny tanks.
Cool.
Yeah, so a good one, because there's a handful that don't, like just sit on rocks. So you got Midas blennies, like canary blennies, and like the striped ones like ORA has. And those guys actually spend most of their time swimming. Whereas, you got like tail spots and bicolors. Those guys just sit on the rock. You'll see them kind of grazing. algae blennies are great for like hair algae control and stuff in your tank too. So
The Midas Blenny is one of my favorite.
I love the Midas blenny. We have one in
Lots
the
of
Reef
color.
LX.
Yeah, lots of color, very active.
And like I said, they think they're a swimming fish versus a blenny, so there are a handful of them that spend more time in the open water than they do actually kind of perching on the rock.
Cool.
So, why are you laughing?
Hey, because Rich was looking at me like.
Never know what they're up to back there.
scheming on
Basslets, yeah. Basslets, I think most people know the Royal Grama is probably the most known in the basslet family.
Yeah.
And that's the ugly guy on the left. They have a very grumpy face, but they have a beautiful purple body and then like a yellow half on the
They
back
do look
end.
grumpy. It almost kind of looks like a grouper face or something like that.
Oh no, yeah, no. Basslets, like they have very mean looking face, but they kind of just do their thing. Some less commonly seen ones like the black cap, really, really stunning, but a little bit harder to find, a little bit more expensive. And then one of the most underrated, I think,
chalk
in my
bass.
opinion, is the chalk bass.
Yeah, we had a couple in the ORA build.
We did have a couple in the ORI build, and if you go and check that out, like they're really neat because they're almost iridescent rainbow, and they stay small. Put them together in groups for the chalk basslet, and but like there's blues and pinks and purples that are like iridescent on them. So those. However, with like Royal Grama and black cap, like really small shrimp can be a risk for being eaten. So
Gotcha.
plan accordingly. But they're all really hardy and generally not aggressive. In a small tank, they might be somewhat territorial because I usually find like a cove or something that they kind of claim their own, that they hang out in if they're not out and about. So they will defend their territory in that matter.
Cool.
Yeah. And then for your larger tanks, one of my favorites, I love them, is a fox face. And there's a couple different types. You've got the regular one, which you're used to seeing. It's got the yellow body or like a black spot on it. And then you also have the magnificent fox face, which we
Much
have in the
harder to
LX.
find.
Yep. So there's your standard one. See one with the black spot and one not.
They're still very striking though, even just the
They're
regular
so
ones.
kind of unique looking with their striped face, kind of like a little pointed nose.
Yeah.
But they do get a little bit bigger, like 7 to 9 inches. So you don't want them in a small tank, but they're very hardy. They'll eat algae, they're herbivore. And then if you check out like our LX, we have a magnificent, which is a kind of a little bit more
Can you guys
uncommon
pull up
one.
a magnificent fox face for us?
With these guys, since
They
they're
look so
herbivores,
different. Like I want the viewers to see it because you have that striking yellow. Like the pattern is very different, very different
Yep.
color.
But you definitely have to make sure you have algae in there for them to graze on. Put an algae clip on. They're very similar to tangs in their care as far as needing
Yeah.
that herbivore diet, but they're super hardy. Their spikes are venomous, so don't pet them. Don't go and hug them.
Don't let them poke you.
Yeah, don't let them poke you, you know, that kind of stuff. But they don't actively try to come and like spike you or anything. It's just one of their protection things, which goes so they can go in reefs, they can go in aggressive tanks. You know, they have their own
There you
protection.
go.
There we are.
Yeah, look how different that is than the other one.
Yeah, so that's what we have in the LX here. That's my personal favorite of them. But you're going to spend quite a bit more on one of those than our
Yeah,
yellow one.
they're fairly rare, so you're going to
They are
pay
harder to
the price
find.
tag for that.
Yeah, but it's very unique because it's actually like a white, mostly white fish, and you've got all those other colors into it. So,
It's like blues and reds and yellow. And it's cool.
so great choice for, you know, a little bit larger reefs of something to get in there that's going to help clean up algae because you don't want to put a tang in the very beginning. So this is a nice herbivore kind of grazer choice to get going with your reef tank. And there's a ton more, but these are, I think, are some of your best ones to kind of
Yeah, to
get
start
going
with.
with.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
a good
that's a great
roll.
list for beginners and you're just getting into the hobby and you're looking for something that's relatively easy to keep.
Yeah, like I said, it's all about, like I said, planning. Like if you're setting up a new tank, you know, kind of know what you want to do for your stocking as a general plan because you just don't want to end up impulse buying a fish and realizing that it's not compatible with already in there, what you're going to put in there. You know, so it's just save yourself the heartache of having to deal with that later by planning out your livestock
It's
ahead
really
of time.
easy in this hobby to get like very excited, you know, and then
Yes.
kind of like don't like remove the planning phase, go to the fish store and find a bunch of fish that you think are cool.
Yep.
It's so important to put the planning in ahead of time so that you make sure everything's compatible and easy to keep.
Absolutely. So,
So.
got questions?
Ton of them.
Oh, right.
Alejandro says, any recommendations on Mandarin fish? I just got one.
Oh God. Okay.
Uh-oh.
I mean, there's like a whole episode we could do on Mandarin. So in the short, I really hope it's not a new tank. I hope it's not a small tank. If it is, I honestly would consider rehoming and taking that fish back. They don't belong in small, unestablished aquariums. They don't belong in big, unestablished aquariums. So they only, for the most part, occasionally you'll get one that eats prepared food, but as a general rule, they're eating live copepods and stuff in your aquarium. You need generally to establish that long term, have a refugium up and running. They will starve to death so quickly if they don't have the proper food source, and they cannot be with aggressive tank mates because they just will not survive. So if you don't have the appropriate setup, the best thing for it is to take it back.
Yeah.
If you do, just make sure your pods are stocked, set up a refugium, keep an eye on its shape, that it's not like getting skinny, because it can happen quick. All day long, when you have a Mandarin, you see them, they're just fluttering around the rock, they're just picking at those tiny little copepods all day long.
Yeah.
And so they're eating tons of them all day.
So just to note, he said the tank's a year old and he's also supplementing pods.
All right, perfect. Keep supplementing, and if you can, set up some kind of refugium or area that they can multiply, just to help keep that population going, and you're not having to buy pods like every week or two, which definitely gets expensive.
William says, you guys want to wrap my new Chevy truck in Waterbox? I'd rep that. May not trust my driving, though. We could put one of those things on the phone numbers on the back that says, how's my driving?
How's my driving? we should have like decals and stuff for people, like put Waterbox on there. I love my Waterbox, or
Yeah, if you guys want to do it. I'm all
I think he
for it.
wants us to do it.
William says, you guys plan on having the peninsula with aluminum stands? Ooh, that's a great question that I have not thought about.
TBD.
TBD, William. Tune into Waterbox every week.
We're always coming up with new stuff, taking suggestions and all that, so you never know what we're going to come up with. So keep an eye out.
Greg says, I got a Cube 20 and we'll be setting it up next week. Are there fish that should be added after coral and anemones are added?
So in a Cube 20, I don't think you're really going to put anything in there that's like that hard to keep, that needs such an established, specialized tank, because anemones are really months down the road. Corals, depending on if you start with soft ones, can go in after a couple weeks once you've got inverts and like your first batch of fish in. I can't think of too much that you could put in there that would need it like more established than corals and anemone, because I wouldn't put a Mandarin in there or Anthias or anything that tend to have that need for a more established aquarium. Just, make sure if you're at anemones, do it a couple months down the road. Get your inverts in first, get your first fish, and then slowly, kind of every week or two, add in the corals and more fish, and just keep everything stable and get the rhythm of your maintenance going.
Kevin's asking, when adding schooling fish like chromies, how many do you add at a time? Your go-to advice is always don't add a lot of fish at once, but schooling fish...
You need like 5 to 6 to be happy.
Yeah, so schooling fish are really only meant for larger aquariums. It's only going to work out that way. If you're looking at something like chromis, a couple things to keep in mind. Chromis are like little sharks when it comes to feeding time. You put a school in there, and for fish to school, you are right. You're looking 5 or 6. Usually, an odd number is suggested for fish to keep them in groups. You're going to be feeding so much food in there to let everyone else eat, because these little, say you have 5 chromis in your tank, these little sharks are coming up at the top and eating all your food at a rapid pace, and your other fish are like, what is happening? And like, they have a harder time getting food. So just keep in mind, they're going to add a lot of waste just for the fact that they're going to eat so much food for you to feed everybody else. They're like crazies at feeding time. So with that, you do want at least probably 5. The larger the number, the more they'll actually school together. But just keep in mind the bio load, the size of the tank, and what you're going to be offsetting that extra waste and fish load with.
Right. Thank you, Kevin. 510-209 Reefer's asking, what are the best small swimming fish?
I would say, like the list we just kind of did, for swimming, firefish, cardinals, those are good. Because they're going to always kind of be out and about and seen for something small. And if you've got a large enough tank, having a school of cardinals is a really nice thing to see.
Yeah.
Sorry, doing a couple things at once.
Zach's asking, beginner tang options, or is there such a thing?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of tangs aren't hard to keep. So I mean, like yellow tangs, cold tangs, taminis, and stuff like that, they're very hardy. You know, as long as your tank is established. Thing you have to consider is tank size. Because even though they seem small, they do need a lot of swimming space. 4 and 5 feet and up for even your smaller ones is best. But is their territorial nature? So like, especially a yellow tang, they're very popular. They can be mean though. Once they get established, and they will pick on all the new stuff. For hardy and generally peaceful, I would recommend like a cold tang or a tamini. They stay smaller. A 4-foot tank technically should be fine. And they're not going to be as aggressive as some of your other ones.
Cool. Exact. Jeffrey's asking, does the 1 inch per gallon fish apply to saltwater tanks?
No, it doesn't apply to freshwater either. It's a generic.
Fake news.
Yeah, it's a generic rule that like happened way in the beginning of fish keeping. But there's too much variation in it, and what's your filtration, what's your maintenance. A tang makes way more waste than 6 inches of a cardinal.
Right.
6 1-inch cardinals and a 6-inch tang make completely different waste levels.
A very
it's
old
not.
rule.
It is.
Yeah.
There's too much variable, so you really can't go by that. You need to kind of appropriately stock by their size of your fish, and then that's why you don't add all your fish at one time. For safety of the tank, but to see what your equipment, how big is your skimmer, what's your water change schedule, and when you see that your nitrates are increasing more than your regular maintenance is managing, you're kind of overstocking.
Right, exactly.
So, that comes down to play with that. I wish it was as simple as that and say, hey, you can have 10 inches of fish in this size tank, but it just doesn't work that easy.
I purchased your Waterbox Peninsula 7225, and I'm currently building my fish list, and I wanted a blonde naso tank. I was wondering if the tank is big enough to have
Yes.
to home one.
Yeah. I think it's a great choice, and just don't go get a massive one to start with. But
Yeah.
Mango is our blonde naso. She's been in our 220, which is basically the same shape except Peninsula versus standard style. She's now into the LX, which is a 7-foot. But in the wild, a naso gets 15, 18 inches long. It's not going to get that big in captivity. It's just, 12 inches is probably more about standard, which should be fine in that tank. And it's a great choice of tang.
Yeah.
Love blonde nasos.
Great personality.
Yep.
Brad's asking, purple firefish, yellow cory wrasse, engineer gobies are my votes for easy fish.
Those are some good ones.
Yeah.
Engineer gobies are pretty cool. They don't get a lot of attention, I don't think, but they're really neat. So they start out with like black and white lines down their body as they get bigger, and they get pretty long. They look like little eels. Their bars actually go vertical, and they're also called like a convict blending because they look like little jail gobies. But they get pretty long, like 8, 10 inches long, like little eels. They're very, very neat, but they will dig up your sand and rock, so it better be well put down because they will make tunnels everywhere.
Neural says, getting my house packed up to move for Florida. All right, gonna move my Waterbox 135 5.4 as well. Excited to upgrade to the 340 LX. There you go. That's a nice upgrade. And move into Florida.
Welcome to Florida. Well, I don't know where you're housed now, but welcome to Florida.
Yeah, we're in Florida. We love Florida.
Yes.
It's great.
You're gonna love the weather.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a nice upgrade. Moving a tank does not sound fun though.
No, moving a tank is tough.
Yeah.
He's got the OG 135.4 too.
Yeah, no, he's been around for a long time. He's been in our group for a really long time. He's got his water box for a while, so nice to see a nice big upgrade and moving to Florida. Two wins.
Cool. Sandra says, will the saltwater mollies breed as prolifically as their freshwater counterparts?
I guess if you go through maybe you're finding them already through the process of converting to saltwater. But I don't see the pool. I don't know. All right.
Rewind.
All right. Yes, they'll breed just as much if they're fully converted over to saltwater. If it's a complete match, to how much they breed per two. I'm sure it's pretty close. But, you know, if you're breeding them to have them as like feeder food and stuff like that, you know, I don't know if that's the best option, but it can be done.
I'd love to hear where everybody's tuning in from.
Yeah.
Where are you guys tuning in from? I'm curious because as we keep talking about this time of day thing.
Yeah.
Like when we're going to be live, we've kind of flip-flopped all over the place a little bit. Also, maybe what time works best for you guys.
Narel's moving down from New Jersey. That's going to be that's a win.
Yeah.
That is a win right there.
Get away from that cold weather. It's actually been a little cold here though lately.
It's been a really cold winter for Florida. I mean,
Yeah.
for Floridians,
We
it's
usually
really
get
cold.
like short bursts of cold, but I feel like this is the most consistent.
We've hit freezing multiple times, which
Yeah.
happens like maybe one time a year at all. And then we've had so many consistent weeks where our lows are in the 40s, and that is horrible.
Yeah.
We can't handle that.
Yeah. Ethan's asking, can you keep a Bellis angel pair in a 90-gallon tank? If they grow too big, can I move them to a 140?
A 90, I think, is cutting it a little bit short for that. They're
What are they
very
typically-
active
I mean,
swimmers.
I guess it depends. A 90-gallon could be many different shapes and sizes, but still gallon.
A 90-gallon is usually 3 foot.
3 feet, yeah.
And that's not enough length at all. I mean, 4 foot minimum, but even then, I think that the Abellis pair, when they are getting like larger size, really needs a 5 or 6 foot. 6 foot ideal, because I mean, they get pretty good size and they're open water swimmers. I mean, they are very big in the open water column. So I would definitely say you could start them in a 90 if they're small and then move them to the 140, but long term, I wouldn't keep them in the 90. But a great choice in angel though. Love those. So anyone that know the Genicanthus family of angels, Bellis, Watanabe's, those kind are like the only reef safe angel. They're planktivores.
Interesting.
And they're
You were
beautiful.
just dropping knowledges all over the place.
There's a lot of stuff in this head. It's all fish stuff.
Thank
Nothing
you,
else.
Ethan. Great question.
You asked where people were from, and they started.
Yeah, I see
They
it.
started telling you.
I see we got people all over the world. We got Texas, Hawaii, Florida, Oklahoma City, New Mexico, New York City, Netherlands, Dubai, United Kingdom, California, Michigan.
Wow.
There you go, all over.
That's awesome. Good to see. That does not help us in our timing because it's everywhere.
Lithuania.
Wow. Nice. We're
Good
celebrating.
morning, Melanie. You are a little late. We're at
That's
12
okay.
p.m. right? We're currently at 12 p.m. every Wednesday Eastern time.
Yes.
So
We'll see where that goes.
yeah,
I don't know.
it's up in there.
All right.
Roll the dice.
We're good? All right, it's time to give away some shirts. Remember, watching live and being active in the comments gets you shirts. We have tons of different colors of them actually available on the website now, so check them out.
Yeah.
Time to give away some shirts.
Drum roll.
All
Drum
right.
roll.
Ready? Winners for the shirts.
The Waterbox drums. William and Ethan. Congratulations, you guys. Email winners@waterboxaquariums.com. They will get you hooked up with your shirts. There
Yep.
you go.
Perfect.
Beginner. That was a great overview. Of
Do you
some
have
beginner
the
fish.
webpage up? We can just throw it on.
Yeah, I can pull it up.
So we've been talking about this for weeks about all the different colors of the Waterbox shirt because
Yeah.
before it was like gray and gray was your options.
Yeah.
So we finally actually have it loaded up now to have lots of colors available, which is great. One for every day, one for every wardrobe.
There you go. So head over to waterboxaquariums.com. We got a lot of different colors. We got a red, a green. There's like a military green, a purple, gray.
Yeah. So I'm excited, especially as a girl, to have more colors than just a dark gray available. You know, so definitely check those out. Get yourself a shirt. We're usually also giving away on the live, so you definitely want to make sure you're tuning in
Yep.
every Wednesday. And that's it.
Yeah. Next week.
So next week, we are showing you the Infinia. So the Infinia is here. It's at the studio. We're going to give you a peek into ours here, talk more about the Infinia, and you guys are going to get to follow along as we kind of set that up and get it going. So next week is going to be your first look, kind of more in depth at the one here at the studio.
Yeah, you guys don't want to miss this. This is the Infinias are starting to arrive at, you know,
Yep.
the owner's houses right now. We have
Yep.
one here in the studio. We're going to show you in detail.
And you get
know.
to see some Jetscape. I'm actually
Yes.
proud of this one. I like this one a lot. So,
I've never seen one that's bad, so.
yeah, I guess this one's different than the previous ones I've done, I guess. I don't know, but turned out really good. So definitely tune in next week. Take an eye on the Infinia.
Yeah.
We'll see you then.
Thanks, guys. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Remember, you can visit us online at waterboxaquariums.com.
We're live every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for watching. See you next week.